I think we haven't really pushed into one of the really hard things that nobody talks about with this rightsizing is kind of the emotional piece.
Yeah, true.
And we've seen it a couple different ways. We've seen definitely a resistant, maybe if we were talking about parents.
Yes.
Obviously this rightsizing isn't just about parents. It's like
it's
for
us.
all. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we were there too. And so and there was emotions there also.
Yes.
But if we were talking about parents, because I think that's maybe the larger component, that let's talk through some of the things that are considered. It's like one of them is this may be the longtime family house.
Right.
So maybe sometimes it's like maybe the kids don't want the parents to move.
Right.
That's a tricky one.
Yes, there is. There's so many emotions involved with making a change like this. Just the memories in a home usually are, that just it's you can like look out and, see your kids playing in the yard, or remember, walking to the corner park with them. And that part of your life is over now, but the memories still live, and it's hard to let go of that piece. That's really tough.
Okay. For the parents or for the kids?
Well, for both. And I think we can get into the kid factor a little bit in a minute, but just looking at it from the parents' perspective, right? So much life happened here, so much great life often. And it's hard to accept maybe that's changed. It doesn't mean that our lives are bad now, but it's changed. And those memories are so great. You feel like
like when little Susie rode her bike for the first time down the street.
Right.
Or something.
And if you move, you feel like you're going to lose those memories, even though they live in our heads. They don't live in our house, but it's hard to disconnect that sometimes, right? And and often it can be your identity, or it represents milestones. I mean, how many houses have we shown where you see the little pencil marks in the door, right?
Like the pantry door, and I've seen some people like cut those out, like the actual piece of door trim, and then put it up in their new home.
Right. Yeah. If they matter that much, there's ways to even
take it with you.
Capture that too. Or, or like it's maybe something that you planted in the garden in memory of someone. A
little harder to take.
Yeah. But it can still be taken. I've actually seen that done as well, like a memory rose bush or something. People can take it with them to the next home too. So a lot of that, there are ways to handle that. Speaking of milestones, like when I sold my house, it was really hard. Like post-divorce, that was the first house I was able to buy, and it represented such a huge. Having a hard time talking through this one.
Do you need a tissue?
But it was such a significant part of my new life, and I had a hard time letting go of that because it represented so much. It's almost a little bit of your identity of like, wow, I survived what had been a really difficult time in my life, and came out okay, and my girls are great, and I feel so lucky. And it was hard to let that go, even though I was moving into something even better with you. It was still just emotional for me.
Right. And I know that actually the girls had some challenges with that initially, with the idea of not having the home that they had similar feelings in.
Yes. In homes, this is where we host our holidays, right? Like, so you remember when your grandparents were there, and it's such a great place. And like, what if we move to a new home and it doesn't have a big dining room or space for a dining room table? And then how are we going to do that now? And, what are the kids going to host the holidays instead, or what do we do?
I mean, it does feel like that kind of takes a shift after a while. That maybe the kids start hosting instead of the parents. Right.
Which just also represents change in your life, because you've always owned these things, and now maybe you're letting someone else have control over it. And that's a little bit hard to maybe navigate too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's great. You're like, oh, good riddance. Like, you can cook the turkey this year. Thank goodness. You're like, I'll bring the salad. Right. Yeah. But, again, it's just your perspective, whether, these changes can be great, and they can also be difficult. And you've mentioned kids a couple times. Do you want to talk about a little bit of the dynamic we see, especially with adult children, and kind of how that plays into these moves?
I mean, sometimes what we've seen with the adult children is they're resistant to the moves, or to the parents moving away or doing something different. Where are they going to go for holidays? Especially if they haven't maybe established their own routines yet. If they're still like independent adult children. But it's it's something worth discussing as a family. Like I've seen some people, like, they start making the holidays around taking a family trip somewhere.
Right.
And then maybe it doesn't look the same as it used to. And that's okay. Like, all these are options.
Right.
And one of the things I think really helps get through some of this is to really, spend some time in the desired new areas, whether it's like in a downtown, like go spend some time in some of those restaurants. And personally, having shown people homes in some of these 55 plus communities, and that's not all where the Rightsizing goes, but some of the ones I've been to, I'm like, hey,
we should go look at this.
Maybe we need a second home. That's, we could spend some time. I could see myself on the golf course every day, having everybody yell at me, as I hit their house again.
Right.
But then spending time by the pool every Friday. There's a bar and a band playing. It's like, geez, this feels pretty fun.
The one other piece of the kid aspect that I think everyone can relate to that has kids is that even if you're moving and your kids are really excited for this change, the one thing they want to make sure of is that you will still store their stuffed animals for them until they're ready to come take them themselves. And I think that's kind of unavoidable, that you've got to make room in the new place for some of your children's precious belongings, because I know we have bins of stuffed animals, and we've told our kids that, like, we'll hold it for now, but once you are anywhere permanent, we are relocating these belongings, these precious items.
We'll help them.
Yes, you can have Lammy and Ellie and, all the other cute little teddy bears in your home now as decorations instead of ours.
I hope they don't watch these things. That's good. But getting through the emotion piece, right? It's really kind of is it planning that helps kind of get things through?
Yeah, and there's definitely different types of planning. There is the planning around the finances, which we've talked about a little bit. There is the planning around where do we want to go. But I think a lot of times the planning that people tend to avoid because it's not as fun is the planning around how do we clean out our own home? And also maybe what do we need to do to get it ready for sale? And I think thinking about maybe a potential right size move before you're ready to do it is a good thing, because it gives you time to be more thoughtful and intentional about these changes and getting rid of things, even tackling like one bedroom a month, like just go through it, clean out the closets, do that, donate, throw away. You're not trying to make this whole overwhelming change in 2 weeks because you need to get your house in the market because you already found your dream home and you really want to buy it, but you got to get this one sold. So giving yourself time to plan and prepare.
Maybe even preparing the family.
Yeah, I was just going to say, have conversations
putting it in front of them, just floating it out there. Hey, mom and dad are thinking of selling the house, and they'll probably freak out.
Right.
But like sometimes it just needs to soak in, and it's, you can work through it.
Yep. And then also taking the time to explore your options, like we've talked about, where you maybe go check out some condos if you're thinking about that in different areas, or the 55 plus, if you think that could be a good fit. There's a whole range of 55 plus. We've seen some where there are definitely like a much older generation that are living there. And then there's some that are definitely more like, when you say 55 plus, it's definitely a more active community with more features. And it really depends on what you want for your own life. So there's changes, and maybe you are thinking like, I do want to move out of the city and I want to go get 10 acres with a big house and a barn and have the opportunity to have like a garden and get a cow and some goats. And like, those are all options, but like, let's go check them out and see, once you were really in the presence of that, how it feels for you. Does it make sense? Does it feel great? Does it feel scary? Again, kind of thinking about the emotions around it, giving yourself time to adapt to the emotions instead of forcing a change.
Totally. No, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And basically people can just give us a call or shoot us a text or send us an email or smoke signals or something and say, hey, my parents are thinking about doing this. Or maybe you're the parents and you're like, I'm thinking about doing this. Let's talk through it more. Yeah. And let's go see some options and have a good time and start kind of just mapping out. And then we can start kind of checking off things off the list.
And we understand like mixed emotions are very normal. And we had them ourselves, selling our houses and then moving into one together. So we definitely understand that piece of it. We are here to talk to you, help you navigate through it. We just want to have the conversation, and we can help you figure out maybe your best choice is actually to stay. And we are happy to walk you through that. And if that's your right choice, we're going to be excited for you because we know you're in the right place.
Awesome.